All right. We're back. Done. All right. All right. All right. We're back. And I think Jackson's back on as well. Sorry about that. So after you had already given me all those props earlier about for my technical skills, I don't know what the hell happened. I swear, Jackson, that was not me. I was just sitting there and everybody froze. It did give me a chance to refill my wine glass, though. That was actually about 20 seconds of the deal. Anyway, so where were we, Jackson, when we froze up?
Well, I had asked him how equipment might have influenced what he's seen across the decades with all the great players.
Perfect. I see. I lost you guys. Everybody just went frozen.
Well, and I think what's important to realize, Tony, I was just saying back when I played, we dreamed of the equipment that you have now to be able to interchange any shaft with any head, to be able to adjust the weight and everything else. I mean, we used to go through a bag of drivers just to find the right one. We had a stock shaft. I mean, this is even before graphite. So, I mean, I'm not back in the gutta percha or hickory days, but I can tell you it sure felt like it. But it's easy. It's easier. It's easier to hit a fairway. It's the ball goes forever. I mean, I'm maybe longer now than I was when I played at my peak. I mean, it's insane. And I think about it because now I can get a shaft that works with my swing. I can get it to load and unload the right way just by testing. I love testing the equipment. I love the ability to use technology and see the differences. Gosh, we used to go out and take different golf balls and we just go out on the course and hit them and circle them so we knew, hey, which driver, number one, driver two, driver three. I mean, it was just so old fashioned. And so I think that's accelerated the learning curve now. And, obviously launch and spin, big issues, spin axis. I mean, those things measured for equipment are important. I think it's influencing higher launches, though, and more side bend. I'm a little concerned when you look at a Sam Snead swing, which still is one of my favorite all-time swings of all time. And you look at some of these kids with extreme side bend, I question their longevity, and I say it as kindly as I can, but it's so much excessive side bend because they're looking to get the thing launched. They know it's going to knuckle, which is the equation for distance. But there's a lot of torque twist, a lot of strain in the lower back, and I don't know, I remember even the days of Freddie Couples and Jack and guys that had some reverse. They had back problems even with old equipment. So I get concerned about the longevity aspect of it all, honestly.
Yeah, and I think that's a legitimate 100% concern. And I've watched also players, get into bad habits because of fitting and technology. Where if you launch at 3 degrees, we can get this launch angle where and I'm like, shit, you were I had taught a guy who was one of the best college players. And then, they started putting him on TrackMan all the time. And I mean, the guy could drive it up a gnat's ass, right? 285, 300 down the middle. And yeah, he was 1 or 2 down, right? But, we can pick up, whatever if we get the launch. Well, they got his launch, positive, and he couldn't hit it. He couldn't hit it in that bay behind him. Right.
See, there you go. That's a good example.
I think but I think that's, kind of going back to where we started about like technology. I mean, like, I think what's so brilliant about what you've done and what you believe is like you're teaching the person and, not pleasing a machine. Right. And I think that's where, like, my warning to young players and young guys or girls coming up teaching is like, figure out what you think is important to help people get better and make people better. And then as they're getting better, start using technology and measure stuff to see if the shit you're having them do, they're really doing and works. But don't rely on it at first.
Well, Tony, one of the things that I see and I try to teach all my young teachers is I like, and I have moved people my whole life. I'll move them. I'll move them to feel things. I'll get them doing things against the wall. I'll get them doing step drills. I'm doing things that they're moving and feeling. And if they're not doing it, I'm going to move them. I'm going to create an extreme to make a point because we know the person's not going to change. And you look at the common golfer, especially, if you don't move them, I mean, they're clueless. And you can talk all day and stand there with your hands like that. You're not going to help the guy. I'm sorry. They don't understand half of what you're talking about anyway. And 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 they're nodding their head. And it's like, if you really ask them, they can't answer. They have no idea what you said. So it's like, stop this, stop talking, get them moving, get them doing things that you know are right. And I'll give you a lot of credit. You know, the bands and things that you use, I've seen you use. Hey, you're teaching feels and motions that words are worthless. You know, you stop talking and start making them do those things. And I think you've had great success with your students because you're giving them things, you're making them move, and you're making them move correctly because they don't move correctly. We all know that. And then even arm hand wrist relationship, setting, cocking, uncocking, nobody even talks about that. You know, the average guy goes back, bad hinge, throws it anyway, uncocks it early, scoopy at impact, you know, club heads passing. Everybody's trying to teach forward lean. It's like, fix the other stuff. You know, let's fix the stuff that's creating that bad impact and give them drills and feels that'll give them some disciplines to, when you leave them, it gives them stuff to work on, you know, and they go, oh my gosh, I really like that. You know, it's like, it's got to be like that. And I don't see a lot of that maybe as much as I'd like to see with the younger guys and or gals. I think it's really an asset to move a person, make them feel things for sure. It's
Yeah,
not.
you know, when I started using bands, it was because you know Colby Touye from their, you know, hit it greats down there at Doral.
Love them.
Well,
Love them.
great, right? And but like to me, it was so interesting because not only did it, but what it made it move, but it gave them a feel that then when they put the club in their hand, they could try to make their hip or their chest or their shoulder or whatever feel that way.
That's
And
right.
like, you know, and to me, don't you think like I think great players play with it. Like I think they know what their good, whatever their good is, feels like.
That's right.
And if we can give them something that helps them create what their good feels like, we got a chance to fix them a lot quicker. That's kind of why I started with that band. And when I started with that, Colby and I started with that, Rick, you know how it goes because you've done this a million times. Like nobody was doing it. Now you turn on the damn Instagram and everybody and their brother at every resort is doing the shit thinking they're, you know, they got it.
Well, and the thing is, you were probably criticized for doing it,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden everybody's doing it. The point is, they find out that it's good. And the other thing is, have an open mind and be creative as a teacher, leaving it wide open. It's like that's the beauty of teaching. I'm almost 70 years old. I mean, I'm still trying to be better at being creative to communicate to someone that, again, everybody learns differently. But the one thing for sure that the better and more creative we can become, we are going to help more people. And the magic bullet is help them faster. You know,
Right.
it's not a 12-month deal. I mean, like Steely, when I worked with Brendan or Jonathan now, it doesn't take very long. It's like it takes, you know, like Steely, he's my 10-minute fix. It's like, and then he's got it and he goes, oh my gosh. And it's like the light goes back on again. But, you know, when you get to know a player when they're doing well, I always believe this too. It's like get your data when they're really good. Don't mess around with it. If it's bad, you know it's bad. Get it when it's good. So you, when you refer to it, they remember how good it is. Like Tyler McCumber, Mike, young guy that's, you know, been
Yeah.
through three surgeries in 2 years. He's coming back in late November. He's going to start the tour again. He's been on a major medical. I go, buddy, we don't have to recreate anything. I know your body's changed, but here was when Canada, when you were 150 under par and dominated and probably was one of the better players in the world. We don't want to change that, you know? So it's like, I use reference points always when they're good, not when they're bad, you know. And I say the same with gears. I do like 3D for when they're good. And then you've got the data points, and you get like Phil would die to have his swing in 2004. Having said that, his body changes, everybody changes. But when things are working, I mean, from alignments, ball positions, different things that you're looking at dynamically that are in different places, you know, shot patterns, different things that they had, they get there quicker because their DNA is, it's kind of like their DNA is, they're going to evolve and go back to the DNA that they've got, you know, good or bad. So I like doing that too, Tony, for sure.
Jackson, you got some more? Any more questions?
No, I love all this. This is incredible.
You
What's
look
a,
so peaceful laid there. I swear, with the
yeah,
whole fade out of you, this is
I
really
had to
cool.
go horizontal because I understand what you're talking about longevity.
Oh, I mean, and that's the key. Like Rocco, I've worked with for almost 50 years. And we did right foot back drills so he could turn. His back was bad. I always made him go right. I know he worked with Jimmy a little bit, but and I love Jimmy. But he would move to the right, move to the left. His club was cross the line, great for drawing the ball, which he loved to do. If anything, when I did right foot backs, I tried to get him hitting it straighter because he hooked it too much. So it was, you know, get the hand path right, get the club on the right path. You know, like even this week, he finished seventh and he should have won the tournament. He got off to a bad start the last day. He was only two back, but we got real close to the ball so he wouldn't swing out so much, got his hands down lower so the club would work up better. And that helps his tilts because when you move side to side, you can get too horizontal with your plane. So hands down, he had the right tilts and the turn, and he striped it and he hit it really straight. And I told him beginning of the week, I said, let's hit a bunch of holds, let's hit some cuts, and it's just going to keep your draw more honest. And he really hit it good. And I said, you keep drawing and you overdraw, and it's not good for your swing. You're not going to play good. So I always like to kind of get the guys doing a little something that alters the pass so they don't go so far off the track, you know, and move into a slump. So, you know, again, he's played, he's pain free being a little bit more vertical. He doesn't hit it as far as some of the guys, but you know, I don't care. I want him to play a long time. He's got another 20 years in him with that move that he's got. A lot less side bend, not torquing, not painful. And, you know, I just tell him, if you want to hit it further, try to go to some longer clubs and lighter clubs and make sure your shaft's pretty stiff because he's kind of a wide throwy guy and he doesn't need something that's going to help him to get flex in the shaft. He needs stability, which we've gone through that too, you know. So again, everybody's different, you know.
Yeah, it's awesome. Man, these are great stories. Such good stories. I mean, I don't need, we don't have too much more time because I know you got to get to your tarpon, but, oh, and I do have the name of the bait fish. Hold on. I'm going to give that to you before I forget. I'll text it to you.
I mean,
But
I'm turning around and they are rolling back there.
you need pinfish or pilchards, pilchards from
That's
Juice.
right. I'm
Juice,
down in
Captain Juice.
I'm down in Summerlin Key. I'm heading up to Doral late in the week. I got a few clients coming in. It's been raining and hot, as you know. But you know, you'd say, Rick, why are you down in the Keys? I go, well, I get a breeze off the ocean, and it's actually I've never done this in the winter, or I mean in the summer, and I plan on doing it. I plan on doing a lot of it. It's just beautiful, beautiful
Well,
down here.
when we talked about this, you and I are going to go tarpon fishing here in the next couple months.
You
And
darn right we are.
And I think the Keys, not to get off of golf, we'll get back to golf in a second, but everybody says the same thing. They're like, oh, it's hot down there in the summer. It's one of the best times. There's wind off the water, breeze off the water, sitting out where you are on that dock. I mean, there's nothing better than being out there on that water. Jackson, you love tarpon fishing too.
Oh yeah. Anything
Yeah.
on the water.
Well, it's peaceful. You know, like we were just in Chicago for the Live event, Tony, and I mean, it was hotter there than it is here.
Yeah.
It was humid and hot, and it's like I looked at you, and we were in the practice round. I'm working with Steely, and you're with Andy, and I'm going, is it me or this is Chicago, hot, humid,
Yeah.
awful, you
You
know?
did. We got off that one green and you go, shit, it's hot, man. Like, yeah, we're like that. You know, one last question for me, and then Jackson, you guys, like we talked about, you know, there's a lot of that swing your own swing, you know, let people swing their swing. And you talk about how everybody's got, you know, everybody's different. When you have like a young person, right, a
Yeah.
young player coming up, 15, 16, 14, 15, 16, that you look at and they got a lot of speed and they got a lot of talent. How do you decipher between like, hey, this is, you know, this is just what they do versus, hey, this, we need
Yeah.
to change this because long term this is going to be better. To me, that's one of the harder parts. Like
Yeah.
as I get older, you get better and better young players that come to you, and you'll have some kids, and you're like, hey, you know, this guy's a great athlete. This is kind of what he does. But then you get a guy, and it's like, I mean, I know that's what he does, but I think if he keeps doing this, the ceiling's going to be lower for him. How do you make those decisions with players?
Well, I first find out what their miss is, and you can see it. Typically, I like to analyze the miss and say, you know, because I'm a fan of the better player. I don't like the left miss at all, and they don't like it either. And I've always said I want you to be able to swing as hard as you can and know it's not going left, and yet it doesn't go 50 yards right either. So I look at release patterns. I look at face angles. Are they a shut guy that needs more knuckles up? I.e., you know, do they have a strong grip? Do they get real bowed? So I look at compatible variations, what matchups are best, and then I decide. I go, wait a minute, that's not matching up. You know, their face is shut, and they got too much face rotation. So we need better body rotation. We need a better sense of through impact feelings, and obviously the club's got to be on plane. If and I'm not saying on the way back, but certainly on the way down. That thing, when you get 1.2 seconds, that thing's over before you know it. The club better be, you know, evolving into a good space coming down, and through impact. And again, I look beyond the impact. I look at post impact a lot, and it tells the story of the dynamics that are occurring through impact. And I've always said the post impact's an imprint of what's going on dynamically through impact. So I look at that pattern. Are they a flipper that's timing it? You know, like you could argue Phil had amazingly fast face rotation. His rotational speed with his forearms and hands and club were pretty much, even Ernie Els had that. So rates of rotation through impact and how that's compatible to face angles. If a guy's more open at the top, i.e. Rocco, he's going to have more face rotation. And if a guy's shut, he's going to look like he's got less face rotation through impact. But they're both okay. The key is what's best for that guy. And again, left misses, they're out. I hate the left miss, and hate it. And I hated it when I played, and I don't like it with any good player that's coming down the stretch. And most of the holes, Pebble Beach, 18. You look at Players Championship, hole 18. Do you want to be flipping it and aiming down that, you know, the right side of the trees or the rough line playing that hole? No, you don't. You don't. You don't want that, because it may go in 2 fairways over to the right when they're off, or they flip it and it goes further in the lake on the left. So, you know, path and face is king with the good players. And I think getting the club on plane and having reasonable impact conditions is great for the common golfer for sure. You know, they're awful. They're just flat awful.
That's awesome. Jackson, anything?
Yeah. Where would you like to see instruction go in the next coming, decades?
Wow.
Well, be careful with complexities. Nobody really gives a hell about how much you know. They care about, and Jack said it to me 30 years ago. I don't care how that Rolex is built. I just want to know what time it is. Everybody feels that way. So I think get to the points where people can enjoy the game and realize that in 1.23 seconds, this thing's over. Good routines, movement. We got to speed the game up. The slow of the game is not standing there thinking of 20 different things. if anything, create a game that's more reactionary, it's more fun. They're making decent contact. They understand that they don't need to be swiping across it. They understand that they don't need to be way under the plane in a lot of this, oh, shallow this, shallow that. Let's try to get the thing on plane. There are a lot of ways to do it. And if they can't with their body, modify their alignment, modify their stance, modify whatever you can do to make that player not have to go to school for 5 years just to enjoy the game. I think that's probably the most important thing at this point.
That's really good.
Rick, this has been fun as hell. This has been one of the most fun ones I've had. I had a blast walking with. I've had a blast walking with you every time I get to walk with you. I promise you, before the end of the year, me and you we're going fishing down there.
Well,
I've been catching juice while we're doing this. I'm lining this up.
If I catch one tonight, you're coming in tomorrow.
Rick, you're a legend. You're the best. You're a great friend, great teacher. Appreciate you sitting in. We're going to do this some more. And Jackson, will you go fishing with me with him down there?
Yes.
I got an extra room here, a couple rooms. I got this till October 31st. I swear it's just, I go work hard and then I come back here and I feel like blood pressure goes down. I relax and I get my work done. Just like I'm with you guys now. This is fun for me. So it's good talking golf anytime you want.
That's
Rick,
awesome.
You're the best. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
So are you, buddy. And you're doing great too. You keep up all that good work. And our man right there with his bad back, we got to get you healed, my man.
I'll be
We're
back.
going to. He's
yeah.
back. He'll be back soon. We'll
All
make
right.
a trip down to hang out at Doral.
Let's do it. Let's do it.